So I'm Robert. I'm one of the coastal liberals, as you'd say. I've been watching you for years now, and I read your book on the arguments to fight against people like me, and I feel bad because for the most part, the people who have been arguing against you aren't nearly as elegant or eloquent as they should be. But I'd just like to ask. So one of your points you very strongly make is that it's unfair for people like me to label you as like a racist or a bigot, just as like a smear tactic. But have you ever acknowledged that maybe it's not a smear tactic, but it's based on things you've said? So for example, on the Israel-Palestine conflict, you called the Arabs. Yeah, you already know what I'm going to say. I'm sorry. No, I didn't mean to presume. Yeah. So you say.
I've written several full columns about it.
Yeah.
I've talked about how people don't read the follow-up tweets. I wrote a column.
I've read some of the tweets, and the tweets were just as bad. I mean, you say a lot of things that are just racist, right? But then if I call you a racist, then you defend it by saying I didn't read enough, right? So that's what I was going to say before.
So give me fine. So give me my racist tweets in context.
Okay. Well.
Yeah, you can't prepare it. So go do it.
So you said the Arabs like to bomb crap and live in open sewage. This is not a difficult. You before that said Israelis like to build. Did you?
Okay, now the follow-ups, because you said the follow-ups didn't make it any better.
Well, this is separate things that you said.
No. I want the follow-ups to that one though.
Follow-ups to that specific.
Would you like me to get them? I'll get them for you.
If you have them, sure. But in the meantime, do you mind while you do that?
What was that?
Do you mind if I continue while you do that?
Well, I'd like to take them one by one. So
sure.
Okay. Why don't we do this? Why don't we delay that one until the end while I look this up from the podium in front of 600 people?
You've also said. Okay. I'll wait. So on that particular issue, you've also said that the Arab-Palestine populace is, by and large, constitutes the most evil population on the face of the planet. Before you said that you've never brought up religion when it comes to abortion, but I don't think that you've avoided religion when it comes to the Israeli conflict, and I don't know that you can be completely unbiased in the issue, given that
Well, I can be unbiased on the subject that the Palestinians have elected 3 terrorist governments to form a unity government with the stated goal of the destruction of the state of Israel and the murder of all Jews in the area. So that I can be relatively unbiased on. As far as the idea that the Palestinian population. As far as the idea that the Palestinian population is more evil than other populations, they certainly hold more evil views than other populations by poll statistics, by how many Palestinians approve of terror attacks, by how many Palestinians voted for an actual terror group, Hamas, and another actual terror group, Palestinian Authority, and another actual terror group, the Islamic Jihad. Okay, so I don't think that all views are equal, and I don't think that people who hold evil views are necessarily good. I mean, I'm sorry if the polls don't support the idea that everyone is equally wonderful, but everyone is not equally wonderful. Okay, I'm looking up these statements now, so if you'd like to give me a second.
But you've continued, you deny secular Zionism, and you...
Quote, okay, so here, I've got them in front of me. Okay, so I'll finish that one, then we can move. Okay, ready? There are many, many Christian and Muslim Arabs who are wonderful people, just not the ones who oppose Israel in the Israel-Arab conflict. That would be the response within the same Twitter thread. Okay, in the post Israelis versus Arabs, I wrote about Arabs who take part in the Israeli-Arab conflict, as anyone who can read knows. #dumbasses. Okay, quote, I think it has much more to do with the fact that the Palestinian leadership supported by the Palestinian population uses millions for terror. I should have been more specific. Arabs who actively seek Israel's destruction. Those would be the follow-up tweets. Does that sound like genocidal mania to you, or does it sound like I'm specifically labeling a group of people who have called for Israel's destruction?
I like to point out that you're not a racist, but they're dumbasses, and you're allowed to insult them.
Yes, because if someone calls me a racist without evidence, they are definitionally a dumbass.
What is genocide? Wait. What is genocide? So you said that you want to be like Churchill, right? And after the Allies, when they moved the German-speaking Polish out of Poland.
So now you're talking about a column I wrote when I was 19 years old that I morally abhorred and denounced myself. I think 6 years ago.
Yeah,
and have repeatedly said was a bad column that I wrote when I was 19 years old.
Okay.
Okay, so.
I wish I had more time. Do you want to get a drink sometime? Like a non-alcoholic beverage?
What was that? Say it one more time.
Do you want to get a non-alcoholic drink sometime? Because I have a lot here. I really do.
I know that you've got a book for... let me just say this. For everything that you're going to say, I've addressed literally every one of those points. I have a column that I put out probably only a few months ago. And the literal title of it is, so here's a giant list of all the dumb stuff I've ever done. Don't worry, I'll keep updating it.
I didn't get that one in my research. I do apologize if I've misrepresented. My research wasn't able to be so thorough. Because it was a pretty last-minute decision to start really going in trying to ask you a question.
And again, that's totally fine, and I appreciate you coming, and I appreciate you asking me the questions. But if the notion is that I'm a racist before you actually read all of my responses to that.
I mean, the racist is just one part. I also like the transgender. Like, you don't believe in transgenders, and like, that's not really
well,
supported by
I don't know what that means. I don't believe in transgenders. I mean, transgender people exist. It's not something you believe in or not.
You've said that gender and sex are the same thing. They think they're synonymous.
I said that gender and sex are linked. I've said that femininity and masculinity are linked to male and female.
Just before you said that they were...
Right, there are two genders. I don't believe there are 1,000 genders. And if I think that if you're defining gender as just a random series of societal constructs, then there aren't two genders, there are infinite numbers of genders, because everybody is a mix of feminine and masculine. So why restrict it to 70 genders? Make it 6 billion genders, since we all have our unique mix of what male and female constitute. And yes, I don't think that there can be such a thing as a male in a female's body. I don't think that there is a female in a male's body, and I find the logic to support that and the science to support that utterly lacking.
Yeah. So, you know, again, I didn't...
I'd be happy to get a non-alcoholic beverage with you and discuss it more fully.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Well, we're joined now from Brussels by the German Green Party MEP Barbara Lochbihler, and from Kielce in Poland by Dominik Tarczynski, an MP for the right-wing ruling Law and Justice Party.
Good evening.
Mr. Tarczynski, earlier, when you think about 100 unaccompanied children, 7 pregnant women on a ship adrift in the Mediterranean while politicians argued, do you not feel a sense of shame about that?
Well, first of all, the shame, it should be a feeling present within the parents who are, in my opinion, I would say, unmature. They shouldn't take these children. They shouldn't be there. They shouldn't put their children in the risk by violation of the regulations. So that's the first question. Why these parents are not responsible for their children and getting them into this kind of situations.
But
this
once
is
they
absolutely
are,
ridiculous that now...
Okay, but once they are in that situation, don't the politicians of Europe have a moral humanitarian duty to step in?
No. No, because it's not about helping someone who is receiving very hard situation about the war. It's not about refugees, but illegal immigrants. It's a law. It's a difference between illegal immigrant and refugee. And you have to remember that if you would try to cross the border, you would be killed in England, in everywhere else. Well, you cannot cross the border only because it's 100 or 200 of you.
Okay, well, obviously we don't know how many were illegal immigrants, how many were economic migrants, and how many were asylum seekers. But let me ask Barbara Lochbihler to respond to your point there, that some people, at least, coming from the African continent are economic migrants.
Well, first I have to say, and to correct this, I think the parents who take their children with them when they migrate or they are refugees, they are very responsible and they do love their children. I think it is just outrageous that politicians can say it's a responsibility for the parents that their children are separated by a completely inhuman policy. So, and now to Europe. Of course, also at our EU borders, we had these brutal pictures of a dead child at the shores of the EU. This was a child from Syria. And so most of the people who come to Germany and do not have a visa beforehand, they come from war areas. It's Syria, it's Iraq, it's Afghanistan, it's Yemen, it is Eritrea. And for those, we have the European responsibility, our governments, and we as citizens, to protect them and to help them to make Europe accessible.
Okay, he's saying
and
take
secondly,
them all and
and you
for them.
please, you are quiet now in Poland because I am speaking.
Could I just ask you, Ms. Lochbihler, first, you know, this open door policy that Angela Merkel introduced has also been her political undoing, hasn't it?
Well, first of all, I think the German Chancellor was right to help these refugees out of the misery in 2015. At that time, we in Germany, we were not prepared to have so many in a short time. Now, our structures are working. What we need is Germany within the European Union, that we have a better distribution of the refugees and migrants who are coming.
Okay, let me put that point.
We cannot leave Italy alone.
Let me put that point to
on
Mr.
that.
Turczynski,
And,
because let me just ask
I-
Mr. Turczynski, how many refugees has Poland taken?
0.
And you're proud of that?
If you are asking me, if you are asking me about Muslims illegal immigration, none, not even one, will come to Poland. Not even one if it's illegal. We took over 2 million Ukrainians who are working, who are peaceful in Poland. We will not receive even one Muslim because this is what we promised.
But I asked
This
not
quota
about
system
illegal
failed.
immigrants, I asked about refugees. And Jean-Claude Juncker, the Commission President, says that you're racist. You sound proud of the fact that you haven't taken any refugees.
Of course, because this is what our people are expecting from our government. That's number one. This is why our government was elected. But this is why Poland is so safe. This is the reason why we had not even one terrorist attack. Look at the streets in Poland, and we can be called populists, nationalists, racists. I don't care. I care about my family and about my country.
Ms. Lochbihler, I mean, unpalatable as it may sound, racist as it's been called, the truth is that the public is turning against mass migration.
First of all, we are spending more as our previous government. We pay and we
This is to Ms. Lochbihler, please. Yeah.
Now I am speaking, and you respect this, please, about the truth. It is a lie, what Mr. Trump has tweeted this morning, that Germany is less secure because of the refugees. Our official statistic, also the statistic which our Minister of Interior approves, shows that we have the least amount of crimes since 25 years. And a lie is a lie. You don't have to repeat it a lot of times. And it's also not true that Germany is collapsing because of the refugees. It's also a lie. Alone in my very conservative Bavarian home country, we have more than 70,000 volunteers who are organizing to help the refugees, and they don't distinguish when they are in need, if you are of Muslim, of Hindu, or of no belief.
So how many,
I'm really sorry, but we have to leave it there. I'm sorry, no one's hearing because I'm trying to. We have run out of time, but thank you both very much for joining us.
Take them all to Germany.
Hello, my name is Jane. I'm social justice waste. Agree with me or you'll be shamed. Hello, my name is Jane. I'm social justice waste.